You need labor to create infrastructure, right? This creates employment. Now, not only has the government focused on employment, but on the skills, so that our employability increases. Not just we are increasing our skills, but also the employment generation. How so? We have focused on AI now. We are not safeguarding us from AI. We are essentially collaborating with AI now, right? Because the government has extended its funds from 6,000 crores to directly 9,200 crores under the Ministry of Skill Development, which is a force. Manufacturing capacities, 40,000 crores for semiconductors, 10,000 crores for SMEs. Where does this money go? Into our employment, into our skills. And that is how, when we educate ourselves into the right fields, right skills, we ultimately become the leaders. That is how India will gain its advantage of demographic dividend, the most important concept, because in today to be the largest economy in this world, because no other nation has as much youth potential as India. Thank you.
Topic that was given to you was education, skill and employment. So my question to you is, I have questions in two parts. Number one, in India, annually more than 12 million youth are added in the job market. So what is the immediate effect this budget actually helps us, as they say, maximally for the Gen Z? This is the first part. Secondly, you talked about numbers and how exactly budget is allocated. So yes, the budget for education has increased by 8.3%, but as per the Kothari committee or even the Niti Aayog, the percentage of GDP that needs to be allocated to education is 6%. Now I know it cannot be allocated in one go, but a step can be taken forward to that. When exactly?
So can you come to the question, please? I have 1 minute to answer. Right?
Okay, yes. 2 minutes you have answer. So I have two parts. Number one, what is the immediate response of the youth that is added in the job market? Secondly, how do you actually defend the budget allocation which is for the education sector?
Become 100% better in the very next day. It is a gradual step-by-step process, right? We cannot it is not a game where we can improve our levels every day. You have to go by steps. For the first time, we are focusing on orange economy. For the first time, we are focusing on new fields, which will give us dividends 5 or 7 years later, right?
Manufacturer is increasing the price. Will it actually go back to the Gen Z that is actually looking forward to? Secondly, talking about the STT ma'am told. Ma'am, let me tell you, P. Chidambaram introduced STT because there was no long-term capital gain on equities. As of now, we do have taxation system for long-term gain and STT has increased. Now yes, you might come and say that yes, it is sort of gambling prospects are minimized, but you need to understand that you cannot actually de-incentivize the speculators of the market. So how do you exactly combat the situation? The foreign investment, as they get the reduction in the rate. The government actually understood this thing after more than $23 billion were taken from the Indian market. Secondly, the income tax structure. So the topic is taxation, income and young middle class. I would like to correlate all of them together and say it was in the first time in the history of India where the personal income tax was more than corporate tax. But still there was no any change in slab rate, wherein it was proposed that the standard deduction could be at least brought up to 1 lakh or 1,50,000, but it didn't happen. So what exactly young middle class got out of it? Absolutely nothing. So no direct benefit in the form of taxation or indirect taxation. I do not see it that way. Now coming about the most important thing that is highlighted in TCS and TDS structure. So ultimately, no matter what changes you make in TCS and TDS, the person has to pay it. So what exactly is I am, as a Gen Z, I'm going to benefit out of it. I cannot actually formulate my policy according to that. Secondly, an important thing highlighted that tax holidays until 2047 for data centers. So there's a very important international trade theory that goes like the product life cycle theory, that is by Raymond Lennon, wherein it states that the product is first developed in a developed country, then its demand increases in some other country, then it reduces, and ultimately in an economies of scale, it transfers to a developing country. For example, computers were first manufactured in America, then it went to Europe, then Japan, and ultimately China. That is exactly what happens when any sort of integration in any sort of technical domain happens. So ultimately, India doesn't necessarily need to do anything about it. What they can do is simply be a caretaker and understand that yes, we were not part of dot-com bubble, but still, we are the largest provider of any sort of tech services in form of Infosys, TCS, or Wipro. So how to end my speech by saying, just a concluding quote, knowledge is knowing that tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing that it should not be put in fruit salad. Thank you.
In a very Gen Z way, in the proper Gen Z lingo, that is what is the government bringing to the table. That is what do I bring to the table? The response of the government for us. Starting with the first thing, that is taxation. Every transaction that you make has an implication of tax, whether direct or indirect. Starting with the first one, that is the change in STT rates. We as Gen Zs are over enthusiastic, demonstration effect has a very large impact on us, and every influencer out there is impacting our financial decisions. So the move by government to increase rates on options and futures is something on a positive end, where it is looking at our mindset and wanting us to make proper financial decisions. Coming to the second one, that is a change in the taxability of buyback shares. Earlier, during budget 2025, the taxability in case of buyback shares would be that it would be considered as a deemed dividend, taxable at a normal tax rate, and then eventually the capital loss on purchase of such shares would be...
First of all, thank you for accepting the fact that there has been an increase in capital expenditure, very kind of you. Second of all, you mentioned that in the Ministry of Urban Development, the allocation has been reduced. First of all, sir, it is a fund. It is not an account, or it is not an estimate of how much it will be spent. If there is amount pending at the end of the year in an account, I will not spend more money into it. I will spend less money into it. Second, transport is covered under Ministry of Transport. Sewage is considered under another ministry. Infrastructure is considered under another ministry. Urban development strictly refers to the urban development only. Does that answer?
No, sir. I would like to highlight one thing.
Yes.
Sir, as per the increase in the system of budgetary allocation, even a simple NRR of 11% is good. So saying that it is a big thing that the percentage has increased is not something to be highlighted upon. Secondly, so when I said about urban development, what specifically I am talking about highlighting the public capex, which sir specifically highlighted, stating that 12.2 lakh crore that were allocated. I have fragmented it into, say, public capex include all sort of ministries, sir. And that is exactly how I connected it. So and what was the second part?
No more, perhaps you can have the next speaker.